Welcome to another episode of Movie Match Reviews on YouTube. And today's review is more of an analysis on whether or not an expanded universe should be considered canon to its main film. Now, for starters, the expanded universe is where it's stories that expand beyond the canon of a movie. And they're usually done by outside writers with or without endorsement from Disney or the original filmmakers of the franchise to begin with. The term was popularized by Star Wars, and since after that there have been numerous expanded universes and all of that. Well, it's like, how much of it is canon? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. So again, like I said, the term originally started with Star Wars. George Lucas and his story team had input on the newest incarnation of, on the old iteration of the Star Wars Expanded Universe, now called Legends. But over the years, Lucas began flip-flopping as to whether or not the Expanded Universe was outright canon to his lore, even though the Expanded Universe supplements of the lore are there. And later on, he was one interview where he actually called the EU a parallel universe to his canon. Well, when Disney took over for Lucasfilm, they released a statement saying that, okay, from this moment forward, everything that will be released after this cutoff date will be considered canon going forward. We're also mapping out new novels and movies that are set in the EU, with Rogue One being the first. They also brought up a factoid, was that George Lucas was not contractually bound to follow the EU with what he did when him and his team would map out the movies. But this raised the question, so how canon is the EU? Well, here's another story. Following the release of The Lion King, a series of books came out titled The Lion King 6 New Adventures, which kind of fleshed out the backstory, via some of the characters and all that, featuring a cub called Copa. Well, the old expanded universe got thrown out and was replaced with the ones with The Lion King 2 and The Lion Guard. Now, this led to the canosity of Copa and all that, and it's like some would insist, well, it's still canon, but it's still canon in broad strokes. Someone actually tracked down the author of the first book of that series of The Launchpad of Tale of Two Brothers, and he said that Copa was not officially licensed by Disney. He created the character, and he went to Disney to get the clearance to do the book. They didn't go to him. So that, in a way, kind of settled the debate, maybe. But then later on, a writer for The Lion King 2 said, Well, if we knew the book, it's like the books existed and somebody had already had an idea of a son in there, we would have got clearance from him to use it. So would have that been the end of Kiara? Ruh? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. No. But it's like, and that's another example of the expanded universe getting thrown out and replaced with a new one. And in the 90s, the expanded universe TV shows were also common too, with Aladdin and The Little Mermaid, which was set before the film, and Beauty and the Beast: The Enchanted Christmas was also like a supplement to the original movie. All of these had very varying levels of canon. Then the only one that was outright thrown out was The Little Mermaid. That was supposed to be like a broad strokes prequel to the movie, but Disney later threw out the TV show continuity and inserted their version called The Little Mermaid Ariel's Beginning, while still acknowledging of the second movie. Aladdin's EU is presently intact, maybe not. Tangled's has a TV show on Disney Channel that's set in between the first and the second movie. Big Hero 6 is getting a TV show that's like after the movie. All of these will have very varying levels of canonicity of importance, meaning they can get thrown out if Disney decides to elaborate on them further. Well, are they vetted? Are their scripts getting vetted and cleared by the makers of the team? We have no idea. Yeah, but another thing that strikes the add-ons of the expanded universe was A Frozen Heart was released in October of 2015 as some kind of a little bit of a tie-in to Frozen, which already has an expanded universe, and it delved a little bit more into Hans's past than the movie did. This kind of raises the question, if a book that's sort of EU but sort of not EU delves into another person's past, does that make it canon? Well, this is sort of how the creators can acknowledge that the book is canon. And if they actually said, yeah, it's canon, then it's canon. Canon. Also, if they said that if the book features things that they have or would have wanted to do but couldn't do it, then that would make it canon by default. It's like in this book has kind of makes Hans a little bit more sympathetic, and they were saying that it's like they were also trying to retroactively explain his actions and behavior in the movie, because all we know from the creators was, yes, he was abused, and it's like abused by his family. Well, the creators have said that the book isn't really, it's one of those where it's the tip of the iceberg. The author has been very quiet on whether or not did Disney go to them, to her, or was it like the situation with the Lion King, where she went to them to get the clearance to write the book. So, and it's one of those where, but the problem here is that this kind of states is that there's a sequel to Frozen coming out, And if they do decide to flesh him out a little bit more, we're going to have a little problem. Because everyone else has accepted the backstory of Hans is in the book as concrete, ironclad canon. And despite the fact that the creators supposedly did not sanction the book, either way it's a mixed bag, and it kind of comes off the 2012 announcement of Disney saying awesome secret EU materials will be ironclad capital C canon. So that meant that any EU materials that kind of do flesh out the characters a little bit more can almost be considered canon by default. So should the EU be considered canon? Then maybe not. But there has to be that awareness that what the creators do will ultimately be the canon fact. The work can still be canon in broad strokes, but again, it ultimately falls down to what the creator decides. Yes, that was should the expanded universe be considered canon. Yeah, you can check the channel for my recent stuff. The next review will be Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So that's Movie Matt signing off.